What's going on, guys? It's Mudcat from 2XP Gaming, and if you're joining us from episode 1 of these Halo tips, then you've probably just immediately come from that, hopefully, or if not, then you have no idea what I'm talking about, and I sound like an idiot. Perfect. Let's keep going with that. So in this segment, in this section, the second part of this twofer here, we're going to be talking about how to use those individual skills, or maybe how to build on those individual skills we talked about last time, how to be better with a team in Halo. And these are all kind of geared towards more beginning, lower level players, or even some veteran players who kind of just need to pick up a few tips or remind themselves of some tips here. And so we're going to be focusing in this section less on the individual and more on the team. Okay, but first let's talk there's a little bit about some individual plays here that incorporate the team aspect. So the first thing we're going to start with here is use your mic. All right, you paid $300 for those Astros. Use them to talk. Okay, always be calling out. Or always be talking. We talked about always be thinking in the first episode. Always be talking should be a theme here in this second one. Talking is invaluable to gameplay. Even if they're not very good callouts, that goes back to learning your callouts in episode 1. You have to talk. Even if no one on your team is using a mic, if you are talking and doing some callouts, those teammates can hear you and they know where people are on the map, and that makes them able to get into a position to kill those people or to help you kill those people, or to avoid being shotgunned in the tower or something like that. All right, so you have to talk. And I know it sucks when you get on and nobody else in your party has their mic on and no one can chat, but I guarantee you, if you keep that mic on and you keep talking, you're going to get better at callouts, and you're going to run into people who maybe wouldn't have talked if you hadn't been talking. Okay, I don't know how many times I've done that. I've been talking and no one seems to have a mic, and then all of a sudden, 2 minutes into the game, somebody decides, oh, this guy's calling out a lot and that's going well. Let me jump in too. Because people like to talk, even though they avoid it. You're probably nervous about talking to new people. I'm not sure what the deal is, but so use your mic. At the very least, it helps you practice for when you play with a team of people that you know, or the people that you party up with. Okay, so use that mic. Use those call-outs you learned. That it helps your team so much. Okay. Another thing we can do here, now that we've learned to pace our shots, we've practiced with the BR, we've practiced with all the weapons, we know how to use them. Use the team shot now. Okay. It's you and 3 other people against a team of 4. It's not you versus 4 and then some other guys versus 4. This is a team game. Like I said before in the first episode, it's a strategy game. And what makes sense? What's more strategical? You fighting a 1v1 with somebody, or you fighting a 2v1 against somebody, right? So stay with your teammates, stay around your teammates, don't run off on your own, and use those callouts to identify where people are. If someone says, there's a guy on sniper, you need as many people turning to that guy on sniper as you can and shooting him at one time, because that is less bullets that you have to individually shoot. All right, that's called team shotting, and some people don't think about that. You'd be amazed at how many people just start the game of Halo. They go in and they're determined to finish every kill themselves, and that is their goal. They're going to start every kill. They're going to finish every kill. I don't know if they're just saying F the team, or if they just don't realize that their life would be so much easier if they would just hang with a teammate and both shoot people at the same time, or use the callouts to help shoot someone who's being called out. All right, so use that team shot. Don't be the lone wolf, and this helps you, with the callouts. It helps you be aware of what's going on. If you're helping team shot, you know who's dead, who's alive. You don't have to wonder. Okay. In addition to the team shot idea, trade and back off as well. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times if a a teammate of mine is, if I can't see the guy he's fighting and he's around a corner, but I could tell my teammate is hurt or one shot and I have full shields, well, I know the guy that he's fighting is probably a little hurt, right? So in a 1v1 fight, me with my full shields against a guy with half shields, I'm probably going to win. So if I see my teammate there fighting somebody and he's hurt, I might say, back off, or trade or something like that. And it's kind of like a pick in basketball or some sort of bait and switch maneuver. That guy should listen to my call out, back off, and I should move in and finish that kill off. Okay? This is a team game. Unless you're playing free for all, this is a team game. And so you need to act like it. You need to treat it like a team game. And like I said, I think it's just a case of mostly people just don't think about it. Okay? You're there to help your teammates, and when you do, guess what? You win. Time and time again, if you're playing kids without a mic or who don't trade and just try to finish every kill themselves instead of letting a teammate come help, you're going to win. You're going to win a lot of the time. And so once you've got those basics down, you're calling out, you're using the mic, you're using the team shot, well, now you can start to coordinate things, right? You can start to get a strategy going. And a lot of times, strategy, if you have a team, it happens before the game. Okay, it happens in customs where you say, hey, if they're set up like this, we're going to set up like that. If we spawn here, we're going to go there. So some of that stuff is pre-planned, but even on the fly, you can set up plays. You can set up control. And this is what we're going to talk about now, map control, which is a huge aspect of Halo that casuals just don't know about. And, when I say casuals that don't know about it, I consider myself a casual, and obviously I know about it, but I'm talking about very beginning players or players who have maybe even been playing for years but never given any thought to how they're moving, where they're moving, what they're doing. Okay? And so map control is essential to winning games. You may have map control and you may not even know it. And that might be how you're winning the games that you're winning. Okay, and so the most important point of map control is to control spawns. Okay, and people think, I think the thought is when people watch pro players and they listen to them talk on Twitch or wherever they're watching them, that they have some sort of secret knowledge about the spawns. That they seem to know where these guys are. They're always catching them from the side or from behind. And they have some sort of secret knowledge. They're way smarter than you, something like that. Let me tell you this. Controlling spawns is not rocket science. And a lot of these pro players are probably dumber than you are. No offense to anybody, but that's just probably the case. And so you don't have to be a genius to understand spawns. It's very simple. And each map is different, so it's kind of a situation where you have to play a map with a team, learn the spawns, learn where people spawn if you're in a certain position. But generally speaking, every map, there are two halfway points, right? There's one horizontally and one vertically from where you spawn. If your entire team is in your base, the other team will not spawn in your base. They'll probably spawn in their base. And now this is not an exact science. You can't predict every time where they're going to spawn this spot every time that we're all in this position. But generally speaking, if you're on one side of the map, your whole team's on one side, they're going to spawn on the other side. Okay? Now, as you're playing the game and your team starts to move across that line, when you get 2 or 3 players across that line, right, and you kill their players, well, now you're on the other side, and maybe you have 1 or 2 guys hanging back, but where are they going to spawn? Right? If you're all moving to that other side, they're going to start to spawn behind you. Which is not what you want, and that's losing map control. That's the opposite of map control. And so you need to be aware of that, and just being aware of that fact, it makes you say, oh, I don't want to push any farther than this until we have a certain amount of people dead, because then they're going to start spawning behind us. And we don't want that, right? We don't want that, especially like on a thing like capture the flag. If you all rush their flag, they're going to spawn closer to your flag, right? And then on your way back, even if you get their flag, on the way back, you're going to have to fight through them to get back to your flag. You don't want that. It's better to be set up, keep some guys in the middle of the map, get some kills, get some slays, take that objective, and now your people are still in the middle to help kind of contain those guys as they spawn maybe to the sides or behind you. You're set up for it. You're ready for it. Whereas if you all rush into the base, now you're just having to wing it, really. And that's not what you want to do. I mean, you can get away with that. Trust me, you've gotten away with it so many times, just winging it and running and gunning. But that's, if you want to be better and you want to be good, you have to think about these things. And that's the point. It's not to say that you can't do those things. If that's the way you want to play, hey, by all means, do what you want to do. Play how you want to play. But if you're sitting in that gold level, that platinum level, that diamond level, and you're just like, man, I can't get higher. I can't get higher. Well, part of it comes down to individual skills, and then part of it comes down to, playing effectively with a team and using strategy. So, map control. And this comes down to really what I talked about in the first episode, which is discipline. If you're on the map Truth, because I talked about that last episode, and you're in top Carbine, you're in top P, and you have someone top mid, they are going to spawn in the bases. They are going to spawn in the bases. Let me say that again. So, when they spawn in the bases, the strategy here is don't run into the bases after them. The strategy is to be disciplined. It's to stay where you're at. Keep the high ground. Just like fighting a real battle in real life, if you look through historical strategies, you don't give up the high ground. And that's the same thing in Halo. You do not give up the high ground. You just don't. Don't do it. It's not going to work out for you. Keep the high ground. Especially like on Truth, keep Car 2, keep P2, keep top mid, and those guys will spawn in the bases, and now they have to fight an uphill battle to get to you to take that control. And all the while, you'll be looking down on them, with your nicely paced shots. You'll be popping them in the head. You'll be killing them with your team shot. And they're going to keep spawning at those bases. And the more they're spawn trapped like that, they're going to get frustrated. They're going to rush even more and even more and even more. And it's going to take a good team, a really good team, to break your setup. All right, if you are set up, you have control of that whole top section. And that's not the only setup that you can get in Truth. That's just one example of a setup. There are multiple setups on each map, and I don't want to peg it like that's what you have to do in Truth, because that's not true either. But you just got to remember, Truth is a good one to visualize, because if you're on one side of the map, it's an oval, it's like in a circle. They're going to spawn on the other side, right? Or more towards that side, opposite of you. So it's not rocket science. It just takes a little bit of thought to realize, where am I at? Where are they probably going to be at? It just takes a little bit of effort, and it will improve your game so much, especially if you get you and your teammates doing this. Now, if you're the only one doing this, okay, well, it's up in the air. You may win, you may not win. But if you get your whole team on board and you're following these ideas and you're thinking, you don't have to do exactly what I say, but if you're thinking, you're already probably a step ahead of that team. Always be thinking, always be talking. Remember those. All right, I already talked about higher ground. Keep the higher ground if you can. Definitely keep the higher ground, especially think about maps like the Rig. If you're in the basement or if you're outside of Nest and some guy's on the catwalk, well, it's kind of hard to shoot that guy. He can shoot down at you pretty easily, but you have to shoot around like that railing, which makes his head, just can see like half of the top of his head. It can be done, but it's not as easy as his shot where he can see your entire body. So, keep the higher ground if you can. Another thing with controlling maps, okay, in order to get those setups on maps to where you have the higher ground, you're controlling where they're spawning, you need to be in control of the power weapons and the customs, okay, or the power-ups, the overshield, the invisibility. You need to be in charge of those things. And what's the best way to be in charge of those things? Well, get them first would be number one. That'd be the best goal. get that overshield, get that camo right off the bat, know where they're at on the map, and then time them. The overshield and the camo both spawn 2 minutes. That's the timer, guys. It's not a secret. 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes, like clockwork. When you pick it up, 2 minutes later, it will respawn. So you need to be in position when it respawns. That doesn't mean, it's going to spawn in 10 seconds. Let me rush over there by myself. That means your whole team needs to be set up to grab that. Okay, and they need to be covering the angles where the other team can come from. You need to be set up. And that goes for customs. That goes for power weapons as well. And I know power weapons here. Let's transition to power weapons. They get a bad stigma, especially when you get that game where you're like, oh, that kid's done nothing but run the rockets the whole game. And that can be frustrating, but to be honest, you're only mad because you want your team to be running the rockets the whole game, right? Those power weapons are there. You need to learn how to use them. And if they are in front of you, you need to not be too pious or too stuck up to take those weapons. I will be the first one to tell you that if a rocket launcher is there, I'm going to have it because I'm good with it. All right, I'm going to take that rocket launcher, and I'm going to try my hardest to get more than 4 kills with those rockets. Okay, I'm not going to kill one-shot guys with them. I'm going to try to get double kills if I can. All right, and I'm going to try to protect those as much as I can. And so you need to just be aware of when they're spawning. A nice thing about Halo 5 is it gives you a little bit of a countdown to when they're spawning. And that gives you some time to shift your team. If you guys have a control on Coliseum, that gives you time to get somebody with the sniper on top mid or on the bridges to watch that rocket spawn so that you can kill anybody who's trying to go get those rockets and then run in and clean them up. All right, so you just need to think, all right? And you need to think and keep track of the timers, keep the higher ground, and understand how spawns work, okay? If you are somewhere, they won't spawn there. That's generally how it works. But, unless you're there by yourself, then they might spawn there and totally F you. And that's the best advice I can give you, especially when it comes to, objective games. When you're playing objective games and you're playing flag, it's not Slayer, guys. You're still slaying, but it's not Slayer. You need to get set up. You need to control the map first. You don't need to rush for the flag first. First thing you should do, control whatever map you're playing, okay? Force their spawns. Force them somewhere you want, okay? Kind of imagine that halfway line in the map. Sometimes those halfway lines even run diagonally, okay, through the 90-degree angles of the vertical and the horizontal. Make them spawn where you want, and then kill them, okay? And kill them, and kill them, and kill them, and kill them. And once you get 2 or 3 of them dead, okay, have somebody ready, pull the flag, and bring it back to the side that you control, right? Because they're not going to spawn on that controlled side, right? If you control the left side of the map, you grab their flag, and then you try to run it back through the right side of the map, well, they're going to be spawning there, and they're going to spawn on you. So you need to work with your team, control one side of the map, and then run the flag that way. And I know, guys, this is very basic. This is very general stuff, and some of you might be listening and say, "Yeah, duh." But there are so many people out there who have never given this any thought, and I think that it just needs to be said for a lot of people that, hey, you should use your brain to play this game, and they'll be like, oh, wow, now I'm a lot better than I used to be. Okay, so learn the best setups, and that takes time. You got to learn the spawn traps, and you have to learn those. You have to learn those setups. For instance, on the rig, you have to learn that the best setup, in my opinion, is basement and nest, and in a lot of people's opinion. And I say that not because there's something magical about them, but because of the sight lines. Okay, from basement and from nest, you can get on rig. You have a height advantage there. You can see nest. You can see basement. Whereas if you have BR and nest, it's much harder to see both of your territories, and you cut those sight lines. Now, it's possible if you can get BR and nest, and then you force them to have to take one, then you can shift your setup, and a good team will work that out amongst themselves and say, okay, let's do this, let's set up on these two, and then we're going to shift and let go of one of those, right? And the rig again is a perfect example of a spawn trap. If you're playing strongholds on the rig and you've got basement and nest, they are going to spawn BR. Okay, that's the only other spawn point for them. They're going to spawn BR, and so you don't want to take all 3 points because then they might spawn anywhere, right? And some people say, oh, well, you'll win faster if you take all 3. But it's about map control, okay? You might win a little slower, and it might be a little more boring, but you have to use your brain, and you have to control the situation. Don't let it control you. A few other points here. These are, I guess, going back to some individual things that you can do to help your team. And this goes along with, like, the team shot idea. Assist. Okay, if you watch the pro players, they are not finishing every kill. They're popping up. If they see somebody across the map or kind of in their way, they're popping a couple shots on that guy, and then they're moving to get set up. And they're trusting that their teammates, because they're listening to callouts and they're getting set up themselves, will finish that guy off or will also help in assists. So think about your contribution to your team in terms of assists, not how many guys can you pummel down with a fist to the face. Okay, how many assists can you get? I think by trying to get more assists or trying to be a part of every kill, if you will help you be a better player overall. Another thing is, if you're dragging your team down, if you're with a team and you are 2-12, hide. I know that sounds really noobish and really dumb. But if you just, everyone has those games. You just can't get it together. You can't line up your shots. You're failing. But your teammates are doing great. Okay, well, hide. That's what I have to tell you. Find a spot where you can hide, where you can maybe pop up a couple assist shots. Stop rushing into places. If you're not playing so hot, hide. Take on more of a supportive role, stay in the back, help your teammates finish those kills. And that's, that's one thing that comes with years of playing is realizing that when I'm playing bad, I need to stop playing bad. And the only, sometimes the only way for you to stop dying is to stop being found. And I've been in situations like that where either I was just off that day or sometimes I'm just outclassed. And so I need to change my thinking, my strategy, and I'm going to stop getting into these battles, and I'm going to play a little sneakier. And some people might say that, oh, you're camping or you're being a noob and blah, 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 blah. But I could care less. To me, that's just another tactic for that game that you have to implement. And that's something, if you're not thinking, you're just going to keep running into those guys. You're going to keep dying. But if the game is 48-45 and you've been no help all game, you probably should stay away from other people and let your teammates clean it up, right? That's probably the best tactical decision you could make. And some people are either too proud or they just don't realize it to kind of help their team in that way by hiding. So that's not always a strategy I would use. I'm not telling you camp the stairs with a shotgun every game. By all means, please don't do that. Don't be that guy. But, there's a time and a place for every single strategy in this game. There's a time and a place. And what I'm saying is, use your brain and think about, is this the time? Is this the place for this? And so lastly, I just wanted to finish this episode, this segment with a little bit on Halo etiquette. Okay? And these are not rules. These are not written rules. You can stop this episode right now, and these won't make you any better or any worse, really. But there's just some things that everyone hates, and I think it needs to be said. Don't do these things, or do these things. First off, don't quit. Okay, don't quit games. You need to take your lumps. Everybody has had it happen. Everybody has been demolished 5-50. Everybody has had 2 teammates quit. Everybody has had every situation that's happening. Everybody who's been playing long enough. Okay, you need to just take your lumps. Okay, take the L. Take the loss. Move on with your life. And if you can, while if you just quit out of the game, you are missing an opportunity. You're missing an opportunity to view a team that may be doing something right. If they've got a perfect setup on a map, and they are just making you spawn the same spot over and over and over again, and you're seeing this, well, you can take that into your brain and you can process that. And you can say, hey, next time I get a team, I want to do that. I want to set up that way because I want to do this to someone else. I want to make them want to quit. So if you quit early, you may miss out on those things. Okay. You miss the chance to learn, and you miss the chance, even if you're losing, you could still practice your shot. You could say, okay, I'm going to work on perfecting everyone I see. Okay. The game's already lost. You might as well work on something, right? So just take your lumps. Don't quit. Another thing, and this is my personal preference, you can disagree if you'd like. Don't rage, don't be pessimistic, and don't blame your bad playing on lag or any other technical malfunction. Okay? Everybody has played with those guys who just rage and rage and rage, and they get so mad. And those guys are not fun to play with. Okay? Or they're pessimistic. They're talking bad about the team. They're saying, oh, we're never going to win this, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other category of people who are saying, those guys are lagging, or I'm lagging, or I'm shooting them in the head, but it's not connecting. That's all BS. We all know it. Okay? Every once in a while, someone does lag. Yes, that does happen. But 99% of the time, someone's having a bad game, and they're frustrated, and now they're just making excuses. And the reason I tell you not to do these things is because they hurt your team. They hurt the team morale. You may have a chatty team doing call-outs, playing well, but as soon as one person, gets salty, they start to poison that team. They poison the team. As soon, your team's not calling out anymore, you're sitting there quietly, nobody wants to play with that guy anymore, but no one's going to be a douchebag and yell at them about something. And it hurts the morale. And honestly, to be honest with you, when players are like that and they're loud and they're pessimistic and they're negative, I play worse. It's something mentally with me, and I should be, work on trying to rise above it. But in a lot of cases, if someone's playing like that, I kind of just lose my edge. I lose my mental capacity to focus on setting up. I lose my thought process on where am I, what am I doing, because I'm more focused on that person being super negative, and that affects my ability to think about what I'm doing and to think about what the team's doing. Okay, so don't be that guy. It's a game. Get over it. Okay, don't be that guy. Also, don't be the AFK suicide betrayal guy. Don't be that guy either. You're a huge dick if you are, and nobody likes you. Quit playing Halo. That's the only time I would ever tell people to quit playing Halo, if they're AFK all the time, they suicide, or they betray. And I know things happen. If you're AFK because your mom came in the room and said, "Hey, you have to do this right now," you better run. Okay, don't leave your team hanging. If that was the case and you knew you had to do something, you should have got out of matchmaking. That's just rude. Okay, that's rude to the community. It's rude to your teammates, because you wouldn't want it happening to you, so don't do it, okay? This is, like I said, this is the section that's not really fostering good players. This is more of the section that I'm hoping is fostering good people by not doing these things. Good people for the community, because we already have way too many bad people in the community. All right, everybody knows that. And the last thing here that I would tell you is talk to the other team after the game. Okay, let's foster that Halo community that used to be, fairly large. Throw some GGs out at the end of the game. Even if you never talk to those guys again, hey, tell them, hey, good job, nice kill on whatever. You can do it for 5 seconds, and then you can back out and never talk to those guys again. Okay, and most importantly, guys, have fun. I know that we've talked about some individual strategies and some team strategies that might be a little bit overwhelming if you've never thought about these things before, but have fun. Maybe take one of these things that we've talked about here in the last 2 episodes and apply one thing. And once you get that down, maybe you're a little bit better, apply something else, okay? And then apply something else. The main thing that I would say apply overall is just team communication and being aware of your situation and using your brain, okay? Don't run and gun anymore. This is not a run and gun game. And if that's what you want to do, cool, but please don't join my fire team. you don't have to be good, but at least try. Try to think. And even if you implement all these, at the end of the day, you may just never be that good, and that's okay. But hopefully, if you're a gold level or you're a platinum level or diamond level, and that's as high as you can get, hopefully those games that you get matched with, they're competitive and they're fun because you're competitive and you are having fun. All right. Well, if you like this video, kind of like the last one, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at 2XP Gaming, or you can hit up our Halo podcast that we do sometimes, the Spartan Talk, or you can just shout us out in any other way, and we'd be more than happy to answer any questions or anything like that. All right, we will catch you guys later. See ya.